Hey folks, and welcome back. Now have I got a treat for us today. I was recently on the WizKids shopping website, and I came across these mystery boxes that they sell. I'm kind of a sucker for these. I love mystery boxes. I don't know, you put a good discount on something, throw in an element of surprise. I have a hard time resisting, even when I should. And obviously I didn't resist. I did pick up the mystery box. Now, I don't know what's in here. I know that it is 4 single miniature packs, 4 double miniature packs, 3 tall miniature packs, and a Chimera with some brushes, which is great because it's actually something I can use for my Greco-Roman campaign. Otherwise, no idea what's inside. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to unbox it, have a look at the miniatures together, and whichever one's coolest, we're going to paint it up. Alright, let's jump in. We have certainly got enough packing materials in here. Alright, here we go. First thing, right on top, is the tall pack mini. I assume that's what this is. Okay, we've got a young gold dragon. I actually like their dragon sculpts a lot, and I don't have a gold dragon, so that's perfect. I like that they actually look like the dragons in the monster manual do. It's fun to paint them, try to emulate the schemes from the book. And the gold dragon in particular has these really cool fin-like wings that are really distinct and make it really obviously a D&D dragon as opposed to one from like another franchise. So it should be pretty fun to paint. Honestly, that's a pretty good contender for coolest mini in the box right off the bat. But let's keep going. Okay, we've got the Chimera right away, which is also pretty cool. So a Chimera is a mix of a lion, a dragon, and a goat in D&D. I mean, in classic Greek mythology, I think it's a snake, not a dragon. But it's a good twist on the monster, makes sense in the setting, and it would be really cool for my Greco-Roman campaign. Wait, hang on. So this is one of the paint kits, actually. So this comes with paints and brushes as well. Yeah, 12 paints it says. I'm sure those are just like tiny paint pots, not full-size paints, but still, that's a nice bonus. Okay, right next to it we have the Bayor. Very cool. So this is kind of like he's got sort of an electric sword and a flaming whip. Very dramatic pose, and again, not something I already have. So that's actually really cool. There's a lot of bear skin on this model, and a really interesting. These guys are sort of a ruddy red-brown skin, which should be fun to paint. I love painting bear skin. It's one of my favorite things to paint. So that actually is also a strong contender. We're off to a good start here. A lot of good contenders right off the start. All right, next up, Juvenile Kraken. Okay, so this looks like sort of a big squid, basically, which is pretty cool. I have a bunch of sea monsters already painted, and some of them absolutely make this guy look tiny and unimpressive, but he's kind of cool. I could see this being a cool mini if you don't have a bunch of stuff like this already, but for me, it's all right. I'll paint him, but you know, he's not doing anything special for me. We have, a monodrone and duodrone. God, these are weird guys. I've never used these in a campaign before. They're so strange looking and so odd. They're like these geometrically shaped robots with these odd little faces and person. I don't know. Some people love them. I've never used them. But it's one of those things too where, you know, now I've got them. So now maybe I will use them. I don't know. We'll get them painted up at some point and put on the shelf anyway. So strange. So strange. Alright. Moving on. Got a set of human druids. It looks like one of them has a kind of a desert dwelling theme. And the other has some antlers on his back, a flaming sword. Yeah, they're alright. They're okay. The deserty looking fella is almost definitely going to get painted up. But, I don't know about Antler Boy there. I don't know. They're alright. They're okay. They're nothing too special, but kind of fun. Not a very strong contender for the one to get painted today, however. Next up, we've got Tiefling Sorcerers. It's alright. They come with kind of a neat little magic effect. They're okay. I don't know, the Nulzer's humanoid figures are not the best ones out there, but sometimes once you get all of this thick primer scraped off of them and reprime them yourself, there's a lot more detail underneath. They're really not doing themselves any favors by pre-priming the minis. I understand why they do it, but it's not a good primer. It's often hydrophobic, and on top of that, it's just gloopy. It clogs into all the details. It's not great. And their human figures suffer under that more than other ones do, which makes these an unlikely pick for today. They're okay, and they'll go on the shelf. Maybe someone will want to play a Tiefling Sorcerer sometime, or a Tiefling Magic user of some kind, and these will go into play, but not today. Not your day. Alright, next up, we've got okay, we've got a giant Dragonfly. It's kind of cool. I don't know, weird looking little guy. Translucent wings. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a big old dragonfly. Which, I don't know. It's kind of fun. It could be cool to use like iridescent paints or, sprinkle in some colored metallics on it or something like that. Maybe use a sponge to paint the top so you get like with different metallics so that you get like a varied effect. Maybe with some glazing over top or thinned down contrast paints to really bring in some colors. I don't know. I didn't even know this was a thing. Alright, cool. I don't think we'll be painting that today, but I do think I'll be painting it. Very neat. I kind of like it. Bit of an odd choice. Half-Elf Paladins. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It's a couple of half-Elf Paladins. One of them has a electric mace in his hand, which is pretty cool. Detailed shields and armor. The other one has a long sword and shield. They're about the same design and everything. They're fine. I mean, they'll get painted up, probably put on the table at some point as NPCs or as city guard or something like that, maybe. Nothing too special, but again, they suffer the same problem that all of the Nulzer's human-like figures do, which is that they're just not that detailed in comparison to competitors. But for the price, they're alright. Next one up is Raging Troll. Alright, this is kind of cool. I like trolls. It's a decent model. I always think that the troll models that Nulzer's puts out, they look a little silly. I don't know. The stances are always a little weird. They don't look like they're doing anything in particular, I think is what it is. They just look like they're opening their arms and yelling or hissing or something. They're not particularly flattering, and I've already got some trolls. So, this guy is not going to get painted today, I can tell you that. He might even go into the pile of things that I'm looking to trade or sell as I clean things up in the craft room, because this guy's I don't know. I've got trolls. I've already have troll models that are cooler than this, and they're already painted. So I'm not seeing a lot of point in this one for me, but they can't all be winners. It's all right. And what else have we got here? We've got two more. Next up is an Aboth. All right, that's cool. I don't have one of these. I already mentioned I have a lot of sea creatures already, but an Aboth is pretty fun. Particularly dangerous monsters, very deadly for their CR, and very cool looking, sort of have an otherworldly horror look about them, just something I like in a sea monster. They're all tentacles and mouths and fins and not much else, and that's a pretty creepy look, and I like it personally. Man, I don't know. I don't think this one's gonna get painted today. I've painted so much stuff like this in the past. It is a cool model, but I don't see it being today's model. Still, happy to have that one. Glad to add an Aboth to the collection. And it looks like the last mini has been opened already. It opened during shipping. That's alright. I'm not buying them for the packages. It is a Florian. Alright, so this is a type of giant. So this is pretty cool. It's like a deformed giant. Kind of these with like a bulbous sort of inhuman or deformed shape. I don't know. Looks like he's got a club that's made of bone. Yeah, very strange. I kind of like this guy, and I don't have a lot of giants painted. I think I've only got one giant creature, like giant humanoid, painted, and he actually suffers less than WizKids' other humanoid figures because he's so big, so the details don't get clogged as much. There is, again, a lot of bear skin, and I do like painting bear skin. Maybe. He's a contender. So here's the entire haul all together. That has cost $50 American, or about $68 Canadian, and I think it's actually a pretty great haul of minis for that price. But when it comes down to it, there's only one of them that I'm going to paint today, and seeing them all together, it really just comes down to three possibilities. The Bayor, the Chimera, and of course, the Gold Dragon. I mean, it's not called Dungeons and Bayors. And ultimately, I go with the Gold Dragon. Now, what can I say? Dragons, they're just always fun to paint. I started off by trying to underpaint some yellow ink onto the wings in stripes in an attempt to get some extra variation in the gold. Of course, this doesn't show up at all through the gold metallic speed paints. Oh well. I tried it, so you don't have to. It doesn't work, so don't waste your time. Now, as you watch me destroy that underpainting with a coat of glittering loot speed paint, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters, especially my terrain tier supporter, Amanda Chisholm. Thank you all so much for your help in keeping the channel going so I can keep doing things like this. I truly appreciate it. With my gold base coat done, I go ahead and prove that I haven't learned anything by taking that same gold paint, adding some black ink, and repainting the stripes. Now the good news is that these ones do still end up being somewhat visible in the final product. I should emphasize, the reason I'm doing this is just to add a bit of variation in hopes of making the dragon look more organic and less like a statue, which can be a problem with painting metallic dragons. Most of the rest of the paint job is actually done with dry brushing. I do an all-over dry brush of a lighter, richer gold. I'm pretty heavy-handed with this one, leaving the original color only in the shadows. With dragons, I always feel that the key to making them look great is color variation. For instance, my silver dragon has glacier yellow, ice blue, and even pink in the wings. But if you look at the official art for the gold dragon, it's kind of boring. There's no variation. One or two pieces of art add brown or green, but I like to save green for bronze dragons, and brown is just gonna look kind of bleh. So once I get a second layer of dry brushing done, this one in an even lighter gold and with an even lighter touch, I decide to go ahead and mix up an oil wash. Now for my wash, I'm using a mix of crimson and black to make a nice dark red. This is going to make the golds richer as well as bring in that much needed color variation to keep our boy here from looking like he belongs in someone's back garden. Further, adding more red tones just always brings a touch of life to things. It's what I use in miniatures to indicate a ruddy skin tone or that there's blood pumping beneath translucent flesh. And while dragon scales aren't translucent, I still think it gives him a much more interesting and lively appearance. Once the oil is dry, it's time to re-establish our midtone with more dry brushing. I take the brightest gold I've used so far and just go back and hit everything over again, primarily with downward strokes of the brush this time, emulating how light would hit those surfaces. For this last dry brush, I'm going to use an even lighter touch than before. The color I'm using for my topmost highlight is Vallejo's Metal Color Gold. It's a green tinted gold instead of a red tint, and it's also incredibly bright. So I use a very small amount of paint, a smaller brush, and make sure to hit only the top facing surfaces of the model this time. That way the areas the sun would hit will still seem brightest. There are a few finishing touches to throw on quickly before I can call him done. The first is painting his underbelly. I grabbed some metallic pearl from AK for that. It's a lovely, if very niche color that doesn't see much use, but I do enjoy it on the rare occasion I can get it out. And the last, of course, is his eyes. I used Tamiya black panel liner to darken down his eye socket first, then I just place a little dot of that same pearl paint in the eyeball itself, and then went over top with a neon green ink. And that brings us to the finish line. I'm pretty happy with how my gold dragon turned out. And I was right. It was fun to paint. Giant monsters almost always are. Just as importantly though, how do I feel about the value of the WizKids Chimera mystery box? Really great actually. Of course the draws are random, so your personal value will vary, and it's also going to depend on what you already have in your collection. But if you're trying to build out your mini collection, this actually represents a really good value. I was really happy with it and would absolutely consider buying another mystery box from them in the future. Now if you'd like to see any of these other minis painted, drop a comment. I'd love to know what you all think of the dragon, the mystery box, and of course if there's anything else from it you'd like to see me put some paint on. Thank you for watching. Please consider hitting like and subscribe, or sharing this with a friend. If you'd like to do more to support the channel, then there are links below to donate, or even go a step further and drop a few bucks in the Patreon. Either way, I appreciate you getting this far in the video. There is more content on the way, and I'll see you on the next one.